lock the doors, pull the blinds, and put up the yellow tape, because today we're returning to the scene of the crime. I want you to ask yourself, what do a fake Pan-African prince, an herbalist who thinks mucus is the literal devil, a woman who thinks a ukulele is a legal defense, a fed who hates women but cuddles with the homies, a comedian who bowed to a king, a cosmic crash out, and a washed up rapper who thinks the world is a frisbee all have in common? They all spent 2025 trying to play you. They sold you snake oil and called it medicine. They sold you hate and called it masculinity. They sold you pure, unadulterated cap and called it content. What up, y'all? It's your boy, Old Man, aka Oda Dread, and welcome to the end of the year Autopsy. If you've been rocking with me this year, you know not only did we cover internet grifting culture, we investigated it. We turned this channel into a detective agency. We shined a spotlight into the darkest, dustiest corners of the internet, and we watched the roaches scatter when the truth came out. We built a rogues gallery of the biggest charlatans, grifters, sellouts, and straight up losers. But today, we're doing more than just a rewind. We're connecting the red string on the wall. I'm gonna show you the exact blueprint these bozos used to empty your pockets. I'm gonna open the case files one last time to see where they are now, and then I'm gonna reveal why 2026 is about to be the most dangerous year yet for the frauds. So sit down, buckle up, and put your gloves on. We're about to review the evidence on the biggest hustles of 2025. If you value truth over the algorithm, smash that like button right now. If you're new, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we are the resistance. Now, pull up the file on suspect number 1. It started with the man, the myth, the meme, the King Kong of consciousness himself, Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, aka the Prince of Panhandling. We kicked off our journey with the man who invented the Forever fundraiser. This dude has been promising us the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, the Hotep Hogwarts for over a decade. 10 years. He's collected donations, allegedly in the millions, from hardworking black folks who just wanted to see something built for us. And what did we get instead? Excuses, delays, and a building that looked like it was renovated by a family of raccoons. We talked about his deflection game. It's never his fault. It's the white supremacists. It's the haters. It's PayPal freezing the account. It's the ventilation system. But the truth we uncovered? Umar represents the foundation of the grift. He showed us that you don't actually have to deliver a product. If you can sell a dream wrapped in enough rage and rhetoric, he set the bar for cap. But little did we know, he was just an appetizer. So has the school opened since we last spoke? Has Dr. Dumbledore finally let the students in? You literally cannot make this up. Dr. Umar has officially moved his headquarters from the FDMG Academy to a literal closet. He's currently hosting the Pan-African Closet Conference, streaming live surrounded by old winter coats while claiming the city tried to sell the school out from under him. He looks stressed, he's lost weight, and he's spending more time flirting with random women on Instagram for hotel money than actually laying any towel. Boy trying to lay some pipe for real. But then, we had to have a difficult conversation. This was probably the hardest script I wrote all year. We pulled the file on the giant, Dave Chappelle. This wasn't about a talentless grifter. This was about an icon who sold his soul. We traced the path from the young genius who walked away from $50 million to protect his integrity to the bitter billionaire who took a check from the Saudi government to dance for a regime that executes people for speaking their minds. We watched him stand on a stage in Riyadh, surrounded by blood money, and claim it was easier to do comedy there than in America. The cognitive dissonance was deafening. It was a painful reminder that everybody has a price. It showed us that keeping it real can eventually turn into keeping the bag secured at the expense of everything you once stood for. Dave taught us that heroes can live long enough to become the villains, and sometimes the punchline is on us for believing they were different. But since that festival in the desert, what has the heavy hitter been up to? Dave dropped a Netflix special titled Unstoppable while I was in the process of making this video actually, where he finally broke his silence on the Saudi situation, and it was pathetic. He stood on a stage and gave us a masterclass in whataboutism. His entire defense was essentially, yeah, Saudi Arabia killed a journalist, but look what Israel is doing.
I mean, look, bro, Israel's killed 240 journalists in the last 3 months, so I didn't know y'all was still counting.
He used the geopolitical strategy as a shield for his own greed, acting like because other bad things happen in the world, it's somehow okay for him to take blood money. He didn't address the sellout. He just tried to change the subject. Everybody's treating it like it was some profound commentary, but it was really just another rich man trying to distract you from the price tag on his soul. But if Dave was a disappointment, case file number 3 was a danger. We dove deep into the pseudoscience of Alfred Bowman, better known as Dr. Sebi. Now look, this video got a lot of you heated in the comments, and I get it. Hope is a powerful drug, but when we peel back the layers, the alkaline diet, the mucus theory, the African biomineral balance, we exposed the fact that this man was not a doctor. He was an herbalist who claimed to cure AIDS and cancer while people were literally dying. We looked at the tragic stories of Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Michael Jackson and how Sebi inserted himself into their vulnerability. We debunked the idea that you can change your body's pH with a cucumber, and we called out the predatory nature of telling black people that their genes vibrate at a different frequency just to sell them expensive snake oil. Dr. Sebi represented the health grift, the idea that if you use big enough words and appeal to ancestral trauma, you can convince desperate people to turn their backs on medicine that could save their lives. It wasn't just a scam, it was a body count. Even from the grave, the grift continues. Here's the latest on Sebi Empire. The healing legacy is looking a lot like a legal nightmare. Sebi's son, Victor Bowman, was recently snatched up by ICE agents in Texas. He made a desperate call from inside a detention center claiming he was assaulted by inmates before finally being released. It just goes to show you that while they sell you cures for everything under the sun, they just can't seem to find a cure for their own constant run-ins with the law. From medical malpractice to moral malpractice, we had to open the file on the Queen of Cringe, Colleen Ballinger, aka Miranda Sings. This is the one that made our skin crawl. We exposed the toxic gossip train. We talked about how she groomed a fan base of impressionable teenagers into a digital cult. We looked at the trauma dumping on minors, the inappropriate live shows where she was doing things on stage that belonged on a registry, not on Netflix, honestly. And of course, sending lingerie to a teen boy as a joke. But the real crime? That ukulele video. Hi. Instead of taking accountability, she sang a song calling her victims liars. She prioritized her ego over the safety of children. She represents the parasocial grift, the predator in plain sight. She convinced kids she was their bestie, when in reality, she was just feeding her own narcissism. So, after the Tea Time podcast where she blamed power dynamics instead of herself, has she finally learned to put the ukulele down? Well, it turns out you can cancel culture if you just pretend it doesn't exist. Colleen just announced a new tour called Clickbait Cabaret. That's right, she's charging $50 a ticket for a dinner theater show in New York that she's billing as all ages despite her history. She's back to performing as Miranda Sings, claiming all proceeds go to children cancer, which sounds a lot more like a Google search term than a charity. But it's a bold move for somebody whose entire brand is currently a dumpster fire, but I guess when you miss the validation that much, you'll do anything for an applause. Now, let's cleanse the palate with somebody a little spacey. We turned our telescope on Billy Carson, the forbidden knowledge guy, Bill Lai, the Anunnaki guy. This case was really strictly for the culture because Billy's just a goofy. We looked at the man who claims to be a serial entrepreneur with degrees from MIT and Harvard, which turned out to be online certificates you could get in a weekend while wearing your pajamas. We looked at his first-class space agency, which is basically a dead website and a dream. We laughed at his rap career with Donnie Arcade.
Eye for an eye. What about the all-seeing eye? The eye in the sky. The eye left by...
I still can't believe y'all let him get away with that. But we also looked at the darker side, the alleged criminal history, the identity theft accusations, and the way he folded like a wet napkin the second he was challenged by a real academic like Wes Huff. Billy showed us the intellectual grift. He preys on people who feel left out of the conversation. He sells them forbidden knowledge because it makes them feel special, like they know something the sheep don't. But in reality, he's just regurgitating Ancient Aliens episodes and charging you a subscription fee for the privilege of being misled. So has he found the aliens yet, or just another way to ask for your credit card? Billy's pivot for 2026 is truly out of this world. He just launched a new AI mentorship program through his Forbidden Knowledge Academy, claiming he's building an artificial intelligence that can decode alien languages and predict the future using quantum mirror technology. I wish I was joking. He went from fake space agencies to fake robots that supposedly talk to ET. The grift evolves, but the audacity remains exactly the same. And then we had to enter the manosphere. We pulled up a file on Myron Gaines, or should I say, Amadou Fouda, the former Fed turned professional misogynist. We exposed the hypocrisy of a man who screams at women for a living, telling men to be high value and alpha, while he was arguably the most insecure person in the room. We looked at the fresh and fit model, get women drunk, insult them, and monetize the rage. We talked about his self-hate, a black man from a Sudanese family who tap dances for white supremacists and says things like, blacks were better off under Jim Crow. And of course, we addressed those photos, the cuddling, the shaving, the homies getting a little too close for a guy who preaches rigid anti-gay masculinity. Myron represents the insecurity grift. He monetizes loneliness. He takes young men who are hurting and instead of helping them, he radicalizes them. He turns their sadness into hatred and sells it back to them as empowerment. He's a Fed who found a better paying gig, destabilizing the community from the inside out. Is the Federation still going strong, or is the House of Cards collapsing? Myron's Alpha Kingdom is crumbling in real time. He recently got cooked live on his own show by a caller referring to a man the internet has named Rollerblade Rico, who stole Myron's girl right out from under him. The caller broke down exactly how Myron lacked as a man and couldn't hold her desire, leaving the self-proclaimed dating coach completely speechless. But the humiliation didn't end with the love of his life. It followed him to his political grift as well. Myron and his co-host Fresh were recently humiliated at Turning Point USA's AmFest, where despite their fervent caping for the conservative movement, they were denied entry and treated like uninvited guests. Fresh immediately took to X to whimper, "Is this how racism feels?" A rich irony for a duo who built a brand on denying systemic racism even exists. Meanwhile, video footage showed high-value Myron pacing frantically in the lobby, making desperate phone calls while security ignored him and bystanders mocked him to his face. The ultimate betrayal of their alpha brand came when TPUSA eventually allowed them back in, claiming it was merely a badge mix-up. Instead of standing on principle or dignity after being publicly embarrassed, Myron and Fresh scurried back into the event, desperate for validation from a group of people that just left them standing on a curb. It turns out, all the red pill theory in the world can't save you when a guy on rollerblades has more emotion than you and the political movement you shill for treats you like the help. Which brings us to the final case, the man of the hour. The most controversial and frankly the most exhausting person we've covered this year, Lord Jamar, Lorenzo Iccialitano, the Emperor of Dumb. This video blew up because Jamar has managed to offend literally everybody. We tracked his descent from a legend and brand Nubian to a bitter old man yelling at a webcam. We covered his obsession with Eminem, his hatred for the LGBTQ community, his misogynistic attacks on female rappers and Kamala Harris. We watched him boycott Vlad TV for 5 years, standing on his integrity, only to crawl back to Vlad's couch the second he needed some clout, leaving his friend Godfrey looking crazy in the process. But the cherry on top, the flat earth debacle. Watching him get intellectually dismantled by Professor Dave Explains was the highlight of my year. Hearing him try to argue that water can't stick to a ball and then watching him cope and seethe in a support group for idiots afterwards proved exactly who he is. He is the ego grift. He's a man who refuses to learn, refuses to grow, and refuses to admit when he's wrong. He represents the danger of arrogance combined with ignorance. A man who would rather believe the world is flat than admit he doesn't understand physics. And since he got roasted by the entire internet, has he learned anything? Jamar is currently shouting into the void, rambling about he's actually indigenous to America and getting into fights about Christmas parties. He's spending hours debating comic conspiracies and open carry laws to an audience that's shrinking by the day. The funniest part? My single video exposing his downfall has more views than every single video he's posted over the last month. He started as a legend, but he's ending 2025 as a bitter old man yelling at a webcam that nobody's watching. So, look at the board. What do all these suspects have in common? Why did we spend 2025 talking about them? Because they're all selling the exact same product. They're selling you a shortcut. Umar sells a shortcut to liberation. Dave took a shortcut to the bag. Sebi sold a shortcut to health. Colleen took a shortcut to intimacy. Billy sells a shortcut to intelligence. Myron sells a shortcut to masculinity. And Jamar sells a shortcut to superiority. They all tell you that the world is lying to you and that they, and only they, have the secret sauce. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts. Real liberation, real health, real knowledge, that takes work. That takes reading. That takes verification. These grifters thrive in the gaps where the system has failed us. They are parasites on our pain, and that's why this channel exists. We're not just hating, we're immunizing ourselves against the bullshit. We're reclaiming our time, our money, and our minds from people who view us as nothing more than a credit card number with a pulse. Now, you might be thinking, oh man, you've covered everybody. Who's left? You have no idea. We've barely scratched the surface. These case files are piling up on my desk as we speak. I've got a list for 2026 that's gonna make this year look like child's play. We're talking about financial gurus selling you courses on how to get rich while they rent their Lambos. We're gonna look at spiritual healers running digital cults on TikTok. We're gonna revisit some legends who've been moving very, very shady lately. But I can't do it without you. So here's the deal. We're sitting at the edge of a new year. I have a goal. I want to triple our subscriber count in the first 3 months of 2026. If we hit that goal, I'm going to drop a video that I've been working on for a while now. An expose on a figure so protected, so beloved that nobody's dared to tackle them until now. But I need the army behind me for that one. So if you're ready for the smoke, If you're ready to clean up the culture, and if you're tired of being lied to, mash that like button until it breaks. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend and tell them, yo, Older Dread is just getting started. Drop a comment below and tell me who was the biggest fraud of 2025, and who do you want to see catch the Older Dread treatment for the new year. I read every single comment, and y'all give me the fuel to keep this machine running. So thank you for rocking with me this year. Thank you for the support. We're building something special here, something real. So until next time, same bat channel. Don't get grifted, don't get got, and most importantly, even if the world is full of frauds, be the person you'd like to meet. Peace.
Oh man, about to pop out. And you know I brought the drop out.